back to Very Reliable News. I am your host, Matthew Callis, and let's get right into it. We've all heard about the COVID-19 pandemic and how it spread wide throughout the world, but what we don't hear is that the effects that it has on our students and our schools. Ever since COVID-19 hit our schools, our students have had to go home learning on their computers, called distance learning. However, we don't really talk about the effects distance learning has on our students. Students have been turning in homework assignments at 4 o'clock in the morning and have been sleeping at 3 o'clock in the day. Senator Matthew Callis has decided to speak about this, and let's see what he thinks. Due to social distancing, he has decided to sit in his car and read his speech to you guys. Let's see how it goes. My fellow Americans, I'm here to speak to you all today in my car about whether we should go back to school in the fall. Now, I know we've all been thrown for a whirl by the COVID-19 pandemic, but I can assure you, all of us are going to be fine. Most of us are going to be fine. Even though this pandemic has wreaked havoc throughout our nation, I'm positive we'll get back on our feet. We've been through wars, we've been through diseases, and worst of all, our nation has been through prepubescent girls screaming about One Direction. Curse those beautiful men with beautiful hair. Despite everything going on in the COVID-19 pandemic, I'd like to address a few issues. I'd like to talk about whether or not our students will be going back to school in the fall. I've heard stories of parents telling me that they want their kids to go back to school, that they can't handle the pressure of actually being a parent for more than a few hours. You want to know how I responded? God, I know, right? But I digress. I've heard of students staying up to ungodly hours of the night. Our kids have been turning in assignments at 4 o'clock in the morning and sleeping all day. But haven't us parents been there too? I remember my young rambunctious self staying up all the way until 10:30 at night. Mom, if you're watching, that's never happened. I feel like our kids need school to keep themselves and us parents sane. I know most kids like not having school. They enjoy all the free time they have, and frankly, these kids did need a break. I know my son needed one. But my personal opinion is that seeing friends' faces, helping your friends out with notes, group projects, it's what makes school better. My son, Matthew Callis Jr., woke up one afternoon and said, "Dad, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I miss school." I turned to him and said, "I miss school too." This was a wake-up call for me. A kid actually missing school, I thought it'd never happen. But ever since that guy who ate the bat, anything seems possible nowadays. I'm not putting the blame on anyone. Guy who ate the bat. Excuse me. Our lives have changed, especially for our kids. Kids went from waking up at the same time every morning, seeing and sitting next to their friends every day, to being isolated in their homes. Like it or not, our kids need to go back to school. They need that human connection that a computer screen cannot give them. All the kids watching this are probably calling me a boomer. But what they don't know is that this boomer has your best interests at heart. In the fall, our students should go back to school because us parents need a break from actual parenting. But more importantly, the kids need to see their friends. I know a good amount of people aren't going to be comfortable with this and their kids going back to school, and that's fine. But the school should accommodate these concerned parents by letting their students stay online if they wish. And I'm just saying, if a school can afford $1,000 helmet for the school football team, I'm sure they can accommodate a few students who want to stay at home. But I'm not saying anything. Now, I'd like to say that distance learning is beneficial to our growth, and to an extent, it has. But it's no replacement for actual school, because, in my opinion, it's better to suffer with your friends together in one place than to suffer by yourself in your home. But then again, that's just my opinion. I also want to thank Very Reliable News for setting everything up in my car, even though I could have done this in my house. Everyone should be watching Reliable News because it's the best reliable news ever. Due to a contract, You can see the effects of distance learning. I apologize for that woman behind me. Due to a contract with Reliable News, I actually have to say that. But besides my contract, you can see the effects distance learning has on our children. Our kids' sleeping schedules are way off, and us parents need a break. And it's like I said, it's better to suffer together than to suffer alone. This is Senator Matthew Callis, and Boomer out. Well, it's clear we know Senator Matthew Callis' opinion on social distancing. What do you think? Let us know. Do you think school should go back in the fall, or do you think we should continue distance learning? Whatever the choice, it's in your hands. This has been Very Reliable News. I am your host, Matthew Callis, and have a good night.